Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Experts. This is Jannette Anderson, and I am here today with the lovely JL, or Julie Lynn Try.
Hi.
And hi there, welcome.
Thank you.
You look fabulous and lovely. And you're in beautiful Vancouver, right?
Seattle. I'm
Okay.
Vancouver's downstairs neighbor.
Okay, so in beautiful Seattle, in the U.S., we won't hold that against you. I thought you were in Vancouver because Aura introduced us, so I thought that's where you were from. But let me tell you a little bit about today and why you're going to want to watch today's show, everybody, because I had a fabulous call yesterday with JL about branding and about the branding for the League of Extraordinary Women. And I got to tell you, the girl's got it going on. She's got some real depth of experience around branding, what it means, what it is, how to use it to really support your business. So that's part of why our topic today is, oh, tell me again, Julie, it's the four things you need to know.
To market anything.
Anything, exactly. Okay, so let me read you a little bit about JL, or Julie Lynn, and so that you can get to know her a little bit better, and then we'll launch right into that amazing topic. Okay, you ready? So everything I do centers around helping entrepreneurs bring their dreams to life and life to their dreams. Ooh, I like that. To inspire creativity so that we all benefit from a happier universe. Julie Lynn Try, JL, is a marketing consultant with experience working with corporations as large as Microsoft and Nestle, to solopreneurs who are just starting out. It's quite a range. With deep experience in digital, CRM, and brand development, JL consults with businesses of all sizes. Currently, she's assisting Microsoft to support tech startups worldwide. JL operates as an advisor or chief marketing officer for startups, pre-startups, and growth-minded businesses. That's all y'all. Okay, you're in there somewhere. In her spare time, she holds in-person workshops, online trainings, and a new podcast called The Sessions On. And we'll give you some of her contact information later on about the podcast and her website and so forth. But welcome, Julie Lynn, and great to have you here.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. Any opportunity to have FaceTime with you is a gift.
So. Thank you. Oh, you're going to make me blush. Okay. You can't tell because I'm wearing red, so it reflects anyways. But all right. So let's, as usual, I ask people to give our guests something juicy about you that we wouldn't guess from your bio. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, and do I need to censor myself, or is this all things go?
All things go. Well, the juicier the better, actually. You could win a prize.
This is not quite as juicy, but it is. It does make for good conversation. But in my spare time, I am a paranormal investigator.
I would not have guessed that or known that.
Right.
That's fascinating. Okay. So is this a hobby or an aspiration or an avocation or?
I would kind of call it a hobby, although I do have a couple of businesses that are in that field that I manage and run. But in general, it's just a lifelong quest.
Well, fascinating.
For the curious. I'm still incredibly curious, and I like to solve puzzles. So this is a big one.
I love it. That's very fascinating. Okay, cool. And how long have you been in the marketing branding field?
I've been in the marketing field for, let's just say, a long time. I did not start out as a brand person. And in fact, I was the one at the other end of the table rolling her eyes when the brand people walked in. So I have always been what I refer to as a response marketer. Back in the day, we were referred to as the direct marketers or the CRM people. But marketing that was eliciting a response from a customer that we could measure. So is it a click? Is it an entry? Is it a, give my information? Anything that could be measured that wasn't related to just awareness or brand feeling. And so, like I said, I was the eye roller at the end of the table because I didn't really understand the complexity and everything that goes into a brand. And later realizing that, okay, for me to do my job, I need that upfront stuff, that brand stuff, to actually have happened and be put together right in order for me to reach customers. Well, now that we're in such a digital age, the two blend really nicely. And so I've actually developed a process to learn and grow within people's brands and learn and grow for their brands just based on doing it, and helping me get to the information that I need as a marketer who's going to be writing an email to your customer or looking and designing a web page for your customers to go to. So that's kind of how I got into my branding area.
Right.
And so that's what I've been focusing on most of all lately, and working with the startups and what I call pre-startups, people who have an idea and who need to know how to turn that into a business. And I love working with this group of people because I'm that way. I'm that way all the time. I said, wow, that could be so much fun. This could be a business, or we should have something for this.
You're like me, it doesn't matter where you go or what town you drive into or anything. It's like, oh, they could have this business, or I would do that, or I could start this business here.
Right?
Yeah, almost an obsession / sickness. But anyway, it's that born entrepreneurial. It's just impossible not to think that way. So tell me, I'm curious about, because most people either work when they're in marketing, branding, and so forth, they either work at corporate or they work with entrepreneurs. Typically, they often don't cross over, and certainly they don't cross over with such a kind of large corporations like Microsoft and solopreneurs. So how do you do that? How and why do you do that?
Well, it's interesting because I worked in the corporate side of business for a long time. I worked at marketing agencies for I call the first half of my career. I started breaking my career out into 3 halves. So we have the first half and the second half, and now I'm in my third half. So I guess
math was not your strong suit, I gather.
Obviously not, right? See, you can still get ahead without mastering in math. I guess I should say 3/3 now, to be honest. But the first part of my career was in marketing agencies. And so that's when I got the opportunity to work with a number of brands. And then Microsoft recruited me to come and join their central marketing team. And so they moved me up to Washington, and I was Microsoft full-time permanent staff working in their central marketing group with a number of their brands for almost 10 years. And then when I left Microsoft, I started my own consulting business. And I loved working with the smaller businesses. It was just so much more, I don't want to say real, that's not it, but it was so much more meaningful to me. And little things that you could do for a smaller business had a much bigger impact. So I really, really got a lot more meaning working with the small and mid-sized businesses and companies. And then, of course, I still consult back to Microsoft. And like what I'm doing right now is kind of a hybrid, because I'm working with their startup team. And what Microsoft actually does, this is not a Microsoft endorsed commercial, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a cool program. Their startup program actually offers credits for startups in technology to use, so they can go and use Azure and Office and Dynamics using these credits. And then the team at Microsoft that I'm helping do their thing is responsible for helping them get into their selling ecosystem. So what that means is that once they go through that and become a Microsoft partner, a Microsoft Engaged partner, other partners can work with them. They can be found, they can be listed as when a company is looking for a Microsoft solution. So it's an opportunity for them to get a little bit of a hand-holding of the process to get them into Microsoft. So I work with a lot of startups around the world, helping them get into Microsoft and co-sell with Microsoft. I call it co-selling.
Oh, okay. Cool. So that sounds like an interesting bridge for you between working with small businesses that you love to work with and having the backing of large corporation and working with all of those resources that are available as well.
It really is. It's kind of a dream, actually. It's kind of a dream job for me, a dream contract. So I have that. Plus, it's a remote position, which is even better. Although I live close by, I am in the Microsoft neighborhood. But this way, I don't have to worry about driving in, and I don't have to worry about putting on makeup every day. So
awesome. Yeah, I know the advantage of that. That's great. Okay, and so let's talk about the topic of the 4 things that you need to do to market anything. So what would those 4 things be? So just launch right in.
Okay. I wish I had a zippy acronym for this. The closest I can get is ATOM. atom. So when you
Okay.
think about the core building blocks of anything, I mean, I know we go smaller now, but think of an atom. So it's audience, timing, offer, and message.
Okay.
Okay, so those four things: audience, offer, or audience, timing, offer, and message, atom. Now, these are four variables or four elements or parts of your brand that, or any product that you really need to know. And the first is most important. It's knowing your audience. Who are you talking to? And often I find that my clients come to me and they will describe their ideal customer, and we'll find out that their ideal customer is nothing like their current customer. And we have to reconcile that a little bit. Or sometimes they don't know anything at all about their customer, and it's a good opportunity to dig in and figure out who it is that you're selling to. You know, who are you talking to? Where can they be found? What are their pain points? And then how do we use their pain points to talk about how we can solve those and create our, our big hairy ass claims, right? Our big hairy claims of what we do and why we're different and why we can help you with those problem statements. So that's really key. And getting to know your customers, it's not necessarily if you run a small business and they walk in and you know their name. You know, that's not when I say getting to know them. That definitely helps. But you're really looking for groups of people who tend to think a certain way. So if your audience is maybe finance people, okay, for example, we were talking about finance the other day. So if I talk to finance people, there's a group of folks who are like the head of tax. You know, they handle taxes. And then you've got the ones who are in the accounting for finance. And then you have the planners. Those groups are going to be looking for something a little different from your business. So that's why you want to say know your audience. So you want to get to know the guy who's focused on taxes, the person who's focused on accounts receivable and payable, and then the person focused on financial planning. What are the differences in their personalities? And so are they down to business? Do they tend to be friendlier? Do they tend to be no nonsense, just give it to me? That might be all up. But then where do we find them? What are they reading? What forums are they going to? What Facebook groups do they belong to? What LinkedIn groups do they belong to? Are they on LinkedIn? There are some businesses where maybe LinkedIn isn't the best. For finance, it probably is a very good avenue. So those are the types of questions that you really want to get to know about your customers and your audience.
Awesome. I love it. And I agree. I think a lot of people, know they need to know the demographics and the psychographics, but I think the intimacy of really sub-niching down within a niche, so from finance down to the more specifics, because you're right, a tax person and financial planner and an accountant aren't the same as much as they might look like from the outside. So really getting to understand the nuances of the different markets within your market, I think is really valuable and really important. And what would you say, and I do want to go on to the others because we don't have a lot of time, but what would you say, because I know a lot of people struggle with their ideal audience versus their existing audience, and their ideal audience, which is the one they think in their head, many of them think they should be going after versus who they actually really like to work with. And then there's the ones that they actually can work with, as in will actually sell to and will buy them. How do you really, is there a way or a tip that you can give people on how to get real about who your audience actually is?
I think that's a really good point you bring up, is that, sure, I can say that I only want to work with, let's see, startups who are funded by $1 million. Yeah. And who love people who have pink and red hair, but the reality is that might be a little difficult to find. This happens a lot. And I will tell you a quick story that it doesn't just happen at the entrepreneur level. When I was working with Purina, we actually went and did a persona study of people who were pet owners. And I'm the type of pet owner that doesn't like the term pet owner, so pet guardians. And we categorized the different personality types into about, say, 7. I'm making this up, but it was 5 to 7 different personality types. And then what we did was we took each of the brands and we said, great, this type of persona, this type of personality really is going to be more open to this brand of pet food. And what we discovered was there was a whole persona that didn't have a brand associated with it in the Purina ecosystem, in all their brands. And so taking a look at that, they said, wow, we need to create a pet food for this person. And they did. And that pet food today is called Beneful. And you can find it at the store. And that was created specifically for that type of person who would probably feed Beneful. So in their cases, when they looked at some of the other brands who were claiming that their person, the person that they sold to looked like XYZ, was discovering that that wasn't quite true. That in some cases, the people they were going after was not their best audience, which is why maybe the brand wasn't doing so well. Right. So my first point is, don't feel bad that you haven't gotten this figured out, because it does take work at every level. But I will say that a lot of the methodology and the steps are the same. It's talking to your customers now. Who's buying from you now? And you have to sort of think about not only who is buying from you and who you're successful with, but who do you like working with? And the people that you like working with, what is it about them that you like? Is it that they make quick decisions? Or is it that they like to have the information in front of them before they make decisions? What are the different idiosyncrasies of their personality that you like? And then the big $64 million question is, how do you go find more of those guys?
Exactly. And I call it the beer and wine rule. If you wouldn't want to sit down and have a glass of beer or wine with them, they're probably not your people. Because you got to have that level of comfort and actually liking them to make it worthwhile.
Well, I'll say though, that's okay though. It's okay. I had this conversation with one of my clients too, because they're like, well, it's really good money, but the guy's not my favorite kind of client. I'm like, take it, because you're forewarned that, maybe the guy isn't your favorite type of personality, because maybe they're a little more demanding or for whatever reason, but you're forewarned, so you at least can plan for that. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And if you have that opportunity to, earn a little more on a contract and maybe it's not your favorite, that's okay. Maybe try to balance it.
I was going to say, I agree, as long as you're not locked in for a long time, and you really got to look at the opportunity cost, because having that client and especially the fact that they're probably going to be a pain in the ass, a Peter Factor client, in all likelihood, not always, but means that you don't have as many cycles for other clients that you do love working with. But if you're starting out and it's a choice between that or I don't pay my bills, we've all been there. We've all taken those contracts. We've all said yes. And like you said, forewarned is forearmed. So that helps as well.
And I'll add one more thing, and I'll call it, sorry folks, I call it the asshole tax. It's like, up your rate, up your rate.
Exactly.
You're going to be spending more time with these guys. Yeah.
Right. All right. So let's talk about timing and offer and message. So
the rest of these really do fall after audience, because they all come out of here, meaning that from a timing perspective, timing can be a number of things. It could be what time of the day do you reach them? It could be seasonal, and that's going to vary depending on what business you're in, but it's also going to vary depending on who you're talking to. Now, as we mentioned before, if you have a guy who's in finance, but he's in taxes, you probably don't want to try to get to him in April. Right? Or in October, right? Those key times. Or maybe your type of solution is very helpful, so you want to get to them in January, because that's when they're going to be starting to look at things for April. I know nothing about taxes, so don't email me and write me and tell me how wrong I am. But I think you get the point there, is that timing can be crucial. The other way you can think about timing is a program that I developed for Coffee Mate, which is thinking about Coffee Mate, how much can a coffee creamer, like my coffee creamer is emailing me, what the hell?
Yeah.
But what we did was we created the coffee break club, and so Coffee Mate would email you we figured out that people really took a coffee break at 3 p.m. their time. And so for a while, and this was a while ago, but we had an email program that would ping you at 3 p.m. and say, you know what, it's time for your coffee break. Let's take a break, go mingle in the kitchen. There was maybe a topic of the day to talk about, with your coworkers in the coffee break room. So that's a very local timing. And the last example I'll give you is one where there was a local hotel chain. They were not my client, but I loved this. They were not a chain. They were a local hotel brand. And we had gone and stayed there because we were going to the music festival overnight. And so the next music festival that was due to come into town, I got an email from them saying, hey, there's another music festival coming into town. We have special rates and we loved that you came and stayed with us. How would you like to come stay with us again? And I thought that was brilliant.
Smart, very smart.
Very, very brilliant.
Okay, so for all of you who are watching, the question is, and of course, like all of this, you should be applying this to your own business, your own practice. What is there in terms of your client base that you're working with? What is the timing that's going to support them? Whoops. Sorry.
Not at all. It's that season.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll use it to take a sip from my stainless steel straw that
there you go. Mark. Yes, there you go. I have those too. Not that I market though, but that you can tie to your business. So is there timing? So if you're a coach, and let's say you're although it pains me to say this word, a life coach. I don't think anyone should be called a life coach because, what's the alternative? A death coach or whatever. It's just a dumb title. I love that. But anyway, if you're a coach, when are the times when people are more motivated to make changes? Typically the beginning of the year, at change times like summer. When are they motivated to do things in their business? Again, almost always right after tax time. There is a lot of angst and so forth about either getting really going and wrapping up or recovering. So what are some of the times that relate to your business, your people, and what they're going through that you could reach out to them, create some kind of campaign, something as simple and brilliant as tying, coffee breaks, Coffee Mate, that people take coffee breaks. When do they take coffee breaks? Afternoons. Great. Let's just get involved in that and support that trend. So what trends can you support? So that's a great, consideration to bring up. So how about offer? How does offer tie into this?
Offer again is going to relate to obviously the product you sell and the need that someone has. And when you know your audience and you know what their pain points are, what are they struggling with solving for, then your offer should be tied directly to that pain point. And it's going to be so individual and unique. You hear a lot of terms out there, lead magnet, whatever. It's just, that's an offer, right? Yep. You hear about marketing funnels. Marketing funnel is just, let's continue the conversation. So what can I put out there to get someone interested to talk to me? And then how can I continue that conversation? So it might be something that in your field, you want to be able to offer them. For example, in my field, I love talking to people and seeing and hearing about what they're struggling with and seeing if I can help in some way. So I like to offer a 30-minute strategic planning session, which is basically a no holds barred. It could be Q&A. It could be let's focus on one problem. Let's give me some advice. Look at whatever it is. I like to offer that to my friends and family. And so we'll talk about that later, but feel free to reach out at all. For me, that tends to be the best indicator of whether or not we're going to have a mix, whether we're going to fit really well, whether or not someone has a need for me, or can I give them some basic recommendations. So for me, that's great. It could be a percentage off. It could be an ebook. An
Mhm.
ebook goes a long way. So all these things that you see in the market, you're seeing them a lot because they work. They
Mm.
do work. And when you're providing value, the other thing that you want to remember is that, the old way of thinking was that, well, don't give away your best secrets, right? Don't give it away, make them pay for it. You know what? I don't think that's true. Feel free to give one away. Give one of your best secrets away,
Mhm.
because people know that. They know that you're giving it away. If they like it and it serves them well, they'll
Mhm.
come back to you. There's kind of a built-in loyalty there. If they don't, if they're the type of person that's going to take it and run, you don't want them anyway as a client.
Exactly.
So when you're making an offer, feel free to give something away.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Great.
Mhm.
And so I really loved how you what you said about make sure that you tie it into a solution that they are actively looking for, and to really make sure that your offer is closely related to that, and really to the top of mind thing they're looking for, not something they need down the road, but what are they looking for right now. So when you're working with clients, because I know we've worked with a lot of clients over the years, both of us, and most people have a challenge figuring out what to offer first. So they either come at it from the tail wagging the dog of, okay, well, I'm just going to sell coaching. So they sell the vehicle, coaching or training or something, as opposed to the solution to the problem. And then figuring out which vehicle is most appropriate to that. How do you help people kind of really focus in on what's that first top of mind problem that they should be creating an offer for? What's
Well,
one thing that they could do to really hone in on that first top of mind problem?
and this is where the last piece of this, the M, the message, comes into play. Is like, how do you talk about this? So is this is this a glass of iced tea, or is it a party in a cup? Right. So am I selling you a glass of iced tea, or am I selling you afternoon refreshment? And what I mean by that is that my pain point might be, oh, it's starting to get warm today. The sun is actually out in Seattle, or as we like to refer to it, the low rain warning light is in the sky. Yeah. So, it's a little warmer today and I need refreshment. So we talk about, what are you giving a solution for? You're not necessarily coaching someone, but what if someone said, find an extra hour in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Be a little more productive, or have one extra hour with your kids. I can help you do that. I'm a productivity expert. Right. So your
Mm-hmm.
message and your offer tie to those pain points, not so much in terms of what you're providing, but what it's solving for
Mm-hmm.
them. So if, one of my clients is someone who comes in and, believe it or not, this is awesome, rearranges your kitchen and your pantry and literally throws out all the bad stuff
Mm-hmm.
and brings in all the good stuff to transition you to like a great diet, and then works with you for a month
Mm-hmm.
building up your recipe list, things like that. So she'll come in, she'll actually, like, I think she's found a way to do this virtually, but she will look at your average recipe or your average week of eating and give you some ideas of way better things that you could have eaten for that. And she does that for free. But that's for people who want to move
Right.
to a better diet. She is not out there offering this to people who just feel like, oh, I kind of want to lose some weight. No,
Mm-hmm.
these are people who are dedicated. They really want to move to a different diet and to a different nutritional type of approach. So for her, it's about finding that specific person, knowing that one of their barriers is that, and timing for them might very well be January through March. And for them, knowing that their specific pain is, oh my God, but I have all this stuff in my pantry. What do I even buy? I don't know what I even need. Where do I get the recipes? So, and then she can go in and make her offer to say, hey, I'll come in and at least analyze what you're doing now and give you some 4 or 5 tips.
Cool. So, can I, speaking of offers, can I offer on your behalf that, because we did talk about the fact that you would be willing to provide some complimentary coaching to the members. And what I'm going to suggest, folks, is that if you are not clear on your your audience, that's something that you could probably tap into Julie, Lynn, or JL to help you get some clarity around. Your timing, where there's some opportunities for you to tie into appropriate timing with what you're doing and how you're approaching it. Or, not and, by the way, because it's a half-hour consultation, so let's be realistic, your offer. So really honing in on your offer and what it is that is going to be the top of mind pain. Because one of the things that I know from many, many, many of my clients is typically the reason they have a hard time selling, or one of the reasons why they often have a hard time selling, is they're solving a down the road problem for a current need. So
interesting.
They're at the top of the mountain saying the view is great up here, come on up here, but meanwhile their client's down at the bottom of the mountain. So talking to her about really clarifying that you're solving that down at the bottom of the mountain problem with your offer. And then, of course, messaging, which is part of what JL is the queen of, especially as it relates to your branding. So I would suggest one of those things might be a really good topic of conversation for your complimentary half-hour coaching session with her. And where can they approach you or talk to you about that? How do they reach you on that?
Feel free to message me through Facebook, or you can email me at jl@jlbrandme.com. Anytime, just refer to Bodacity or use Jannette's name so that I have context of who you are.
Okay.
But anytime, email me. And I'll also watch the Facebook chat too to see if things are coming up, or you can flag me in those for sure.
Okay.
And the other thing I can do is I can share out some other, more concrete tips and tricks on that Facebook chat if you'd like. So any questions that come up, if you post that question and I answer it, you're probably going to be answering it for somebody else too, or asking it for somebody else.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, just before we close here, I want to, because you are really focused on branding, what's your definition of branding? Because you're one of those people who rolled your eyes at brand, and when I had a marketing agency, so did I. Branders, they get such a bad rap.
I know, right?
It's often seen as such a nice to have as opposed to a have to have, or people just simply don't understand it. It's something that most of us in scarcity startup mode tend to kind of go, oh, someday when, then I'll get around to that.
Right. They don't realize that it's going to just make everything so much easier.
So tell us your definition of a brand.
My definition of a brand is everything that goes into somebody making a decision to choose you. So let's do a little exercise. Do we have a minute here? Can we do an exercise?
Well, we're over time, but anyways, go ahead.
We're over time. Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So everyone listening, unless you're driving or doing something, active, close your eyes for a second and think about somebody who's important to you. It could be a roommate, a neighbor, it could be your mom. And then open your eyes and imagine you are telling me about that person. So Jannette, if I can use you as my guinea pig, why don't you just tell me the first three things. Just tell me three things about the person that you chose to think of.
Okay, she's feisty, brilliant, and highly perceptive / intuitive. Had to slip in.
That's fantastic. You just described her brand. That's her brand. Feisty, brilliant, and perceptive. So now think about, great, how do we get you and your service to such a point when somebody thinks of you, they're thinking of the things you want them to be thinking about you?
Okay, great. So everything that goes into people's perceptions of you that come out as how they would sum you up.
Yes. So, and that means every interaction they have with you, the interaction they have on their website. If you're somebody who has people working for you, what are they doing? If you're a restaurant, it's your seating. Do we have time for one more quick story? I'm sorry.
Okay, one more.
One more. I'm from the South. Everything has a story. So I had someone who contacted me who said, okay, I'm a small business. I'm the pizza guy. I don't need branding. And I said, you know what? Give me 15 minutes. Let's just talk. And let's just find out, whether you could use some of branding help.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked, and I was asking him how he got into deciding to start his own pizza shop. I mean, he could, if he loved pizza, he could go manage a Pizza Hut, right? Why,
Mm-hmm.
like, why do your own thing? And he told me this wonderful story about when he was growing up Italian, and his Italian mom always had something cooking in the kitchen, huge pots. And he was describing her, she was short, so sometimes she had to like reach up to stir the pot like this, you know, and stand on a step stool to get in there. But his house was always the house that everyone came over to after school, and people would come by after his dad came home, come by with a beer and hang out. And it was just wonderful. And everybody hung out in the kitchen and then ate whatever it was his mom was cooking. And he wanted to bring that to his neighborhood. And I said, Ed, not his real name. I said, Ed, you're not Ed's Pizza. You're the neighborhood kitchen. I said, hello, you're the neighborhood kitchen. Think about how different this is. Think about how different going into the neighborhood kitchen would be than just stopping by Ed's Pizza to pick up pizza on the way home. That's the difference a brand can make. And when you're a small business like that, that's why it really is best when it comes from you.
Cool. I love that. And so really it's part of kind of what you referred to earlier in at least a conversation we had about really it's a lot about stories, which is why, of course, you use so many stories.
Sorry.
What is that's good. What is the story of you that is different than the story of the person who's beside you or the next person, You know, and we're both big fans of Simon Sinek's and really clarifying your why and all your whys, but especially why you do what you do. And that's a good example of that story of his why came from his childhood, came from how he grew up, and that sense of family, that sense of community that got created in the kitchen. And so bringing that to a brand differentiates him from all of those others. So what's your why and your background and your story that led you to doing the work that you're doing, and how do you apply that and use that in your brand to differentiate you, but also really simply to be that beginning starting point of people understanding who you are and what you can do for them. So that's great example of that. Thank you, JL, and thank you for being here. Is there any last thought you want to leave people with around branding or their marketing, anything that from all the years of experience? I know this is a very broad question that that you would say they often make mistakes in doing, but that they could that they would benefit from addressing first, because there's so much to do.
There's so much, and the benefit of being in such a technological environment is that there are so many tools out there. And I suffer, as I'm sure many of the people watching this do, from the squirrel syndrome, which is, oh, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do that. But I think that's why it's super important to get yourself a mentor. Get yourself a coach. I don't like to use the word coach, but that's the word that's used. Or get yourself into a training program, get yourself a mentor. And it's amazing the difference that it will make. I've done it both ways. When I first started my business, I didn't have somebody there to balance and counteract some of these things. And I really struggled. And it's only now 5-6 years later that I'm really in a groove. It took me 5 years to be able to say I'm a CMO for startups, pre-startups, and growth-minded businesses. Right. Yes, I'm the marketing person, and it took me 5 years to even get to the point where I knew that.
I agree with you. We were talking about that actually yesterday, because JL is helping me with branding for the League of Extraordinary Women. And we were talking about the fact that, and I've been marketing for 35 years, but I suck at seeing my own perspective. And she was challenged with branding herself because it's too close. It's right here, right?
Exactly.
We can't see ourselves. You can't see yourself with the eyes that look out. And so we can't see what's on the end of our nose, but other people can see it really easily because it's right there. So we need that help to get perspective, to pull that back so that we can get a look at it and go, oh, okay, there's who I am. There's what I am a stand for. There's what is my positioning and my offer and so on. So I agree wholeheartedly. Get a mentor, get a coach, get a consultant, get someone to help you with this. And part and parcel of that is why I do ask the experts, is so that you can get to know different experts. You can see people, because almost everybody who's on here I've either worked with or I know, and they're vetted, so that you have access to a pool of brilliant resources, other women that you can reach out to and who can support you in your journey, and you can support them in their journey, because that's what this is all about, is really collaborating, co-creating, and getting that support, those connections that can help us all raise our levels faster and easier. So we call it leverage, or just in the good old days, it was just called being good to one another. So let's so reach out if you are interested. And I know a lot of people are a little hesitant to take people up on the offer of some complimentary coaching. But frankly, I really encourage everybody to do that with everybody and anybody who comes on here, including me. And here's why. It's a half an hour of your time, yes. And will they probably make you an offer? Absolutely, if they're smart and if they're modeling what they're teaching you, and if they are in business, yes, they will. But you're also going to walk away with some kind of value. And if you get one thing you can apply that's going to move the needle on your business, it was a well-invested time. Time that you could have been surfing Facebook and wasting time watching animal videos and so forth. So use that time.
How did you know? How did you know I was doing that?
I was doing it earlier. I posted one on my page earlier. So use that time to tap into the brilliance of other people, because they can see what you can't see. They can give you that one piece of wisdom, or sometimes a whole cavalcade of nuggets. And you get to check out different people to see who might I want to work with now or in the future. So take coaches up on their offer, experts up on their offer to provide you with input and wisdom. Don't let your oppositional defiance to, oh my God, they might actually make an offer or something like that, keep you in isolation and keep you from actually reaching out and getting help. So thank you so much, Julie Lynn and JL, for being here.
Thank you.
And for sharing some of your insights on branding and on marketing. I like the, Adam, it's small but approachable and doable. Eat that elephant one bite at a time. And I also really love that you've got systems around how do you approach all of these different components of creating a marketing message that actually sticks and makes a difference for people. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been just a joy, and the time went super fast. So
it did. I know when we went over, and I apologize, folks, for being late. We were having technical difficulties. Sometimes BeLive's a little persnickety. So sorry about that. And thanks for being here and for watching. For more information, you can check out JL at brandme.com. You can email her at jl@jlbrandme.com. And her other websites are in the comments below this. So please go and take a look and a listen. And check out her podcast as well. And reach out to book your coaching session. Thanks for being here, dear. Have a great and bodacious week, everybody. Thanks for checking out Ask the Experts, and go be bodacious. Bye, everybody.